I guess. When she went to lunch with the other wives, she didn't pass muster.
Well, maybe she couldn't reach it.
For me, at this point, I can't do jokes anymore. I respect and admire people who can. He doesn't do jokes. He does the human condition.
Mm-hmm. Where Everybody Knows Your Name, The Untold Story of Cheers, 1982-1993. I knew she would ruin the show, confessed Ted Danson, looking out the window of his trailer in 1982, after discovering that Shelley Long had been cast as his co-star. That same night, NBC aired the first episode of Cheers to an almost non-existent audience. The show that would one day gather 93 million viewers for its finale debuted in 74th place out of 77 programs, with executives already preparing cancellation papers. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Nicholas Colasanto's heart, the beloved coach, was already beginning to fail, with no one knowing that his premature death would forever change the course of the series. For 11 years, the world believed it knew Cheers as the cozy bar where everybody knew your name. But the secrets kept behind those wooden doors reveal a story of intense rivalries, devastating losses, and desperate decisions that nearly destroyed the greatest American sitcom before it even found its way. And the truth is more shocking than you imagined. Like, share, and subscribe to see more content like this. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. In 1982, 3 television veterans, Glenn Charles, Leigh Charles, and James Burrows, were quietly planning a revolution in American comedy. Fans of the British show Fawlty Towers, they originally conceived a series set in a hotel, but the excessive number of sets made production unfeasible. A bar is a place where everything that happens in life can end up, philosophized Leigh Charles. When deciding to focus on just one area of the hotel, the bar, thus was born Cheers, a place where social differences disappeared between sips of beer and personal confidences. The original cast brought Sam Malone, played by Ted Danson, a former Boston Red Sox baseball player turned bar owner after losing his career to alcoholism. Beside him, Nicholas Colasanto gave life to Coach, a slow-thinking but big-hearted bartender. Rhea Perlman embodied the sharp tongue of Carla Tortelli, while regular customers, Norm Peterson and Cliff Clavin, played by George Wendt and John Ratzenberger, completed the initial core. Few know that Danson had never been a bartender, attended a baseball game, or been a womanizer in real life, and needed to attend bartending school and learn how to pretend he knew a lot about sports to play Sam. Shelley Long's entry as Diane Chambers transformed the dynamics of the show. A pedantic intellectual forced to work as a waitress after being abandoned by her fiancé, Diane created with Sam a romantic tension that would dominate the first 5 years of the series. She is uptown, he is downtown, explained director James I. Burrows, who initially saw them as a modern version of Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. But behind the cameras, reality was quite different. It was hard for us sometimes to be in the same room, Danson confessed years later about his relationship with Long. Their approaches to acting were completely opposite. Long, a methodical perfectionist who deeply immersed herself in the character, Danson, instinctive and spontaneous. Once, when Sam and Carla had a friendly kiss in an episode, Long went to the creator's office and broke down in tears, saying that Diane would be destroyed by this. When the writers explained that Diane wasn't in the scene and would never know about the kiss, Long responded with absolute seriousness, "Yes, but I know." The premiere of Cheers in September 1982 was a ratings disaster. The American audience, accustomed to superficial and loud sitcoms, didn't immediately understand the sophisticated humor and complex characters of the program. The series ranked 74th out of 77 shows that season, almost last. Only the personal intervention of NBC's entertainment president prevented its premature cancellation. It's ironic that the program would, years later, earn the honor of being the only sitcom in history to occupy both first and last place in the ratings during its run. While struggling to survive in the programming schedule, bigger problems were developing behind the scenes. Nicholas Colasanto, who gave life to the beloved Coach, had been diagnosed with heart problems even before Cheers began. By the end of the 3rd season, the actor began losing weight drastically, having difficulty breathing during filming and memorizing his lines. I think we were all in denial. commented Shelley Long. "We were all glad he was there, but he had lost a lot of weight." Rhea Perlman added, "He wanted to be there so badly. He didn't want to be sick. He couldn't breathe well. It was hard. He was laboring all the time." On February 12, 1985, Colasanto died of a heart attack at his home. His last complete episode, Cheerio Cheers, had been filmed in November 1984. Colasanto's death left an irreparable void in the program, both emotionally and narratively. The writers immediately rejected the idea that Coach had moved away, as they felt he would never abandon his friends. So, at the beginning of the 4th season, the character was written as having died, without mentioning the cause of death. And a young bartender from Indiana named Woody Boyd, played by Woody Harrelson, was introduced as his replacement. Harrelson's arrival was another pivotal moment for Cheers. During his audition for the role, Harrelson surprised the producers when, in the scene where Sam tells Woody about Coach's death, the actor chose to cry genuinely. Despite being a comedy, Harrelson brought emotional depth to the moment, demonstrating the sensitivity that would characterize his approach. Ted Danson would later admit that the cast, upon receiving such a young and talented actor, decided to kick his ass in anything they could find, starting with basketball, where they discovered Harrelson was an excellent player. In 1986, another earthquake shook the program when Shelley Long announced she would leave Cheers after 5 seasons to focus on her film career and family. Critics predicted the end of the show, and the creators panicked. There were some critics who said that when Shelley walks out the door, that's the end of Cheers, recalled Glenn Charles. And we had to live with that, because the main element of the show was the Sam-Diane courtship. His brother Les added, "We're not sure that Cheers would have survived without Shelley in that first season, because she was so strong and so confident and knew exactly who the character was and who she was." The writers tried various ideas to deal with Diane's departure, including Sam and Diane having a child in the next season, with Sam being a single father or finding another ideal man for Diane. 3 different endings were filmed, partly to keep the true one a secret and because there was a possibility Long might change her mind. 1. Sam and Diane get married. 2. Diane accepts an offer to finish one of her novels. 3. A third option that never came to light. In the end, they chose the second path, with Diane leaving Boston to pursue her writing career, promising to return in 6 months. A promise she wouldn't keep until the series finale. 6 years later, Kirstie Alley was chosen to replace Long, introducing the character Rebecca Howe, an ambitious businesswoman who brought a completely different dynamic to the bar and to Sam's life. The creators deliberately looked for a brunette actress, whose hair wasn't blonde, and who didn't resemble Shelley Long. The transition marked a new chapter for the show, which continued to thrive with its stellar ensemble cast, including Kelsey Grammer as psychiatrist Frasier Crane, who would later get his own successful spin-off. Cheers broke barriers on television in various ways. When most sitcoms featured self-contained weekly episodes, the series revolutionized the genre by being one of the first to popularize narrative arcs that lasted entire seasons and exciting cliffhangers at the end of each year. The show also took unprecedented social responsibility with its stance against drunk driving, helping to popularize the concept of the designated driver, never showing characters leaving the bar to drive intoxicated. The technical secrets of Cheers also reveal fascinating curiosities. For practical reasons, the actors didn't drink real alcohol during filming. Instead, they used a non-alcoholic flat ale in the bar's taps, apparently horrible, as it was warm and had salt added to make it appear carbonated. Keen observers may have noticed a pronounced line bisecting the counter. Seen from the studio audience's perspective, this crack was right in the center. Few knew, however, that this flaw served a practical purpose for filming. The show didn't avoid controversial topics of the time. At the height of the AIDS crisis, Cheers planned an episode where Sam feared he had contracted HIV from an ex-girlfriend. The plot was conceived to be the cliffhanger for season 6, but co-creator Leigh Charles felt the episode was too serious and needed rewriting. Then a writer's strike erupted, and the premise was completely abandoned. The relationship between Sam and Diane was one of the sparks that kept Cheers on the air in the early years. Director James Burrows initially saw the characters as a kind of modern Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. She is uptown, he is downtown, he explained. But over time, he admitted that Sam and Diane forged their own path and drifted from the Hepburn-Tracy model. A behind-the-scenes incident that few know about involved Jay Thomas, who played Eddie LeBec, Carla's husband. Thomas also hosted a radio show at the same time he was on Cheers, and when someone called asking what it was like working on the acclaimed sitcom, Thomas replied, "It's brutal. I have to kiss Rhea Perlman." One of the listeners that day was none other than Rhea Perlman herself. When Cheers returned the following season, Eddie LeBec was no more. The show revealed he had been killed off-screen in an accident with a Zamboni ice machine, and Carla discovered he was a bigamist with another grieving widow in tow. When Cheers finally came to an end in 1993, after 11 seasons, its final episode became one of the most watched television events of the decade. Although it didn't exceed the bombastic predictions to become the most watched television episode, it was the most watched program that year, attracting 93 million viewers, 64% of all viewers that night. After the final broadcast, the cast and crew celebrated with plenty of drinking, which unfortunately coincided with an interview for The Tonight Show, for which they were visibly intoxicated, an embarrassing moment that became legendary in American television. The legacy of Cheers lives on through its 275 episodes, which have been successfully syndicated worldwide, and its most famous spin-off, Frasier, which became a success in its own right. Few know that Frasier wasn't the only spin-off. Another, less successful program was created called The Tortellis, about Carla's ex-husband. Additionally, the series Wings is considered a companion show, as it was created by Cheers writers, and features crossover characters. The bar that inspired the setting of Cheers, the Bull and Finch pub in Boston, became a tourist attraction during the show's run. Eventually, in 2002, due to the show's success, the Bull and Finch officially changed its name to Cheers. The location continues to attract fans who wish to sit at the same bar where, as the theme song says, everybody knows your name. Nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series in all of its 11 seasons on the air, Cheers won 28 Primetime Emmy Awards from a record 117 nominations. But perhaps its greatest award was the way it created such memorable and human characters, with their flaws and virtues, who continue to find new generations of fans decades after the last glass was served in that Boston bar where, for 11 magical years, everybody knew your name, as Ted Danson reflected years later. What made Cheers special was that we were never cynical. It was a warm and welcoming place where everyone insults each other as friends do. They put down with love. And perhaps that's the true secret behind the success of a program that started as a failure, faced personal tragedies and dramatic changes, but persisted to become an American cultural monument. Because in the end, as the theme song reminds, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. Don't miss out on more videos like this one about classic TV shows. Subscribe now and turn on notifications to stay updated on all our nostalgic content about the golden age of television. Leave a comment below with your favorite Cheers moment or which classic show you'd like us to cover next.